I'm Amanda, and this is The Middle of It, a podcast about the messy but beautiful in between parts of life. So today is an interview day, very exciting. I'm sitting here with my dear friend, Barbara, and I'm very excited for her to share her story. I really think a lot of you will have a deep understanding of what it's like to struggle with family addiction and what it's like to get sober later on in life and to see that healing and joy are still possible. So, welcome, Barbara.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to do this today. I did get sober later in life, but I believe I was always an alcoholic. I came from a very abusive family. My father was very abusive, and as a teenager, we had no supervision, and I drank with my friends, but never to black out, just to have fun, we thought. I believe having children saved me from a long life of alcoholism because I never wanted to raise my children the way I was raised in an abusive alcoholic family. I also had a very good church life. My sister and I would run to the church at the corner of my street when things got rough at home. So that was our refuge. And I continued in that church, married twice in that church, children, all my children baptized in that church. And it was a saving grace for me. I had a great relationship with my God. My second marriage, my first marriage, forgive me, ended in divorce because he was abusive alcoholic. My second marriage was 13 years later, and he was a wonderful man. And we all went to church. We had 6 children between the two of us and never drank, never felt the need to drink. I had no desire to drink, but I was an alcoholic because I was never happy, never had enough, always wanted more. I was probably horrible to my husband, who was a wonderful man. My husband died in 2008 of colon cancer at 51, and I stopped going to my church and I started going out with my friends, drinking a little, nothing crazy, couple beers. And then in 2019, my mom died. And I still wasn't going to church because I couldn't go to that church anymore. It was very sad for me. Every time I went to the church, I would just cry because I missed that. And I didn't know how to deal with that. I never had any tools to deal with grief. And then after my mother died and the pandemic came, I was isolated and I went off the rails. I was 63 at the time or 64. And I just went off the rails and just started drinking. I was isolated. Jersey delivered alcohol every day. I was working, but I was drunk all the time and I couldn't stop. And that was the scary part of it
Mm.
because I thought I could control everything. And I did control everything
Mhm.
for years. But all of a sudden, I was left alone. Kids were gone, husband gone, my mom gone, and I had to take care of me. And I
Mhm.
had no idea how to do that. I just didn't know how to do that.
Mhm.
And that's where the drinking came in and my alcoholism showed its ugly face.
And what year was that when you like
2023,
okay.
what 2019 was when it started, the
Okay.
worst.
Mhm.
And then after mom died.
Mhm.
And then because my mom was my best friend, she was amazing. She was just a wonderful woman and I loved her so much. And I only didn't live with my mom 5 years out of my whole life. When we moved down here, she got mad at me because we moved away from her and she wouldn't come and visit us. And then when my husband got sick, she came down, didn't even have to ask her twice, sold her house and came down to stay with me and help me.
Wow.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
And I missed her so much. I
Mhm.
do every day.
Mhm.
And my husband too, he was such a good man. He was so kind and so gentle. And losing both of them was just, I got mad at God. I got so angry.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. And I know that wasn't him. I know that wasn't him now. I didn't, it's funny that I didn't know about AA and how to get sober because I was an Al Anon all my life. My
Okay.
mom took me to Al Anon all our lives because of
Hmm.
my father. And I didn't know about AA. And my daughter, who was struggling with addiction, brought me into an A, said, let's go to an A meeting, mommy. And I was like, okay, great. And we went to our first, it was actually an NA meeting, but I knew that's where I needed to be.
Hmm.
I knew that I needed help, absolutely needed help. And and I was terrified of this something having that much control over me and I couldn't stop. And that
Hmm.
scared me so much. And again, I believe I was 65 and I could lose I have a great job. I could lose my job. I could lose my license. I could lose my house. And at 65, where am I going?
Hmm.
And that scared me so
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. So when that realization that alcohol had a hold on you, what were some of those first steps? Like, what did you do when you first started like, did you try and stop on your own? Did you try and like self-help book it to death? Like,
No,
what did you do?
nothing,
Nothing.
nothing. I succumbed
Mm,
to that bottle of brandy every night next to my bed, not even a glass, just out of the bottle.
mhm,
And it was so scary. I actually wound up in secure hold one night. I was so drunk. I don't even know what my blood level was. They told me that it was probably coma, close to coma. And I remember, and again, now I'm 65, not a teenager, not a kid, an adult. And I remember lying, I was running across 37, trying to get home. I just wanted to go home, crashed my car. Girls were with me. They called the police on me because I kept running across 37. And I remember waking up in the morning so embarrassed because how did I end up here? That
mm,
was the question. How did I end up here? But that didn't stop me. It was only till I went to that first NA meeting that I realized this is how I'm going to stop this. I knew I had to stop. I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah.
I
Well,
was
you walked
so
in the right
lost.
place. You definitely got to the right place, and thank God, right?
Oh, thank God. And that's where, so I don't believe in any coincidences, right?
Hmm.
And we can go into a few that I always look back on and go, wow, he was so there in my life, and I just didn't see it at the time. But I did get my God back, which was amazing. I went to a meeting at Presbyterian Church, a Thursday night meeting, and I loved the church, and I loved that meeting. And one of the women I bowl with on Wednesday nights goes to that church, and she took me to a Saturday night church service. And I just fell in love with the church and Robbie, and I was like, I want to do this.
Hmm.
And I joined the church, I joined the choir, so I got my God back. And
Hmm.
it's such a good relationship, stronger than before,
Hmm.
right? Before was just a refuge to get away from my father. Now it's to find me
Hmm.
and find God and live that life that I
Hmm.
want to live and always did. I always brought my kids to church, and it was so important to me that they had that upbringing, some sort of stable belief. And when they grew up and as adults, they could do what they want, but I needed that foundation for them. I believe it was important.
Absolutely. So, when you decided to go to your first meeting, what fears came up for you as you were going in?
I don't know that I had any fears, Amanda. I maybe I'm never going to be able to drink again
Mm. Mhm.
because it's funny. I bowl on Tuesday. I bowl in a league on Tuesday and Wednesdays at Playdrum, and you can bring alcohol. So that was where we all drank all the time. Now, thinking back on it, I drove home after those bowling nights, and that's so scary. Um, but I worried about I think the fears that I had were situations like that. What do you do when you're with people that drink heavily and you don't? And I always thought bowling was a commitment to me. And it's funny, one of the gentlemen in one of the meetings said when I first came in, and I said that I bowl on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I have a commitment. He looked at his friend and he said, "She's never going to make it."
Wow, that's
Yes,
bold.
I know, I know. And he told me that on my 2-year anniversary. I know, it's goosebumps because I looked at him and I was like, "Wow, Mike." He goes, "I just didn't think you were going to make it, Barbara, because you were so adamant about keeping that commitment." And that's a tough one. You put yourself in a situation around alcohol where you had to say no, and you're new in the program. How do you say no?
Right.
But I knew I wanted to get sober. I knew I had to do this. It was life saving.
And I get that. You make me think of when I first came in, um, people said to me, like, people, places, and things, you're going to have to get rid of all of them. And that was a huge group of people for me. I have a group of girlfriends that I consider my sisters. They're not my blood sisters, they're not even my blood family, but this group of women got me through some of the hardest times of my life prior to getting sober. And I knew that relationships with them were going to change, and I knew they had to change, but I also knew that for the most part, I believed that all of them were going to be supportive of me. And that looked different for each of them, as my journey went on. But I stand here today still talking to every single one of those women almost every day. So, just because someone says it in a meeting doesn't mean it's true. It's kind of like that whole, like, take what you want, leave the rest. I
Yeah.
mean, some things you kind of have to use your own discernment. Are you still bowling today?
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't stop at all.
Well, that's
And
good.
I'm okay. I think the biggest part of that is being honest. That is
Mm,
this program. And I was honest with the girl that I bowl with that is the biggest drinker. And we would do shots of what's it called? The cinnamon
fireball.
fireball. Thank you.
Mhm.
And we would do shots of fireball. And I told her when I made this decision, I said, "I'm not drinking fireballs with you anymore. I need to stop drinking and I have a problem."
Mhm.
And she said, "Whatever you need, Barbara." And that was it. And I've never had a problem with it. And again, this is over 2 years later, and I'm okay with it. And the more I go out, and I can go into a bar and not have any desire because the more I see the drunk girls in the bar, it strengthens my resolve because that was me at one point.
Mhm.
And it strengthens my resolve not to drink like that. And having two alcoholic daughters and a brother who just passed away from this, and a sister who is an alcoholic, has stopped drinking but hasn't gotten the program,
Mhm.
is dry sober. Is that I believe that's what they call it,
Mhm.
right? She's living a
A dry
sober
drunk.
life, like a
Yeah.
dry drunk, right?
Yeah.
Not enjoying her life, not dealing with any of the issues that we grew up together with. And
Mhm.
I did deal with a lot of those issues, my father specifically, and boyfriends specifically that continued to abuse me. I did go through therapy for that when I was 20, 21, because I was so depressed, tried to kill myself twice. And so I dealt with that part of my life, but didn't know how to deal with the other part.
Mhm.
When you have nobody to take care of and you have to take care of you, that is the biggest part of this. I believe that's what threw me over the edge. I didn't know how to take care of myself because I never had any self esteem.
And you didn't have to, though.
Right.
Like, you were able to pour your life, your heart into your kids, and you didn't have to look at, because a therapist had recently said this to me. Um, that it's not just about what happens to us as children and adolescents and early adulthood. It's not just what happened, it's the reaction within ourselves. And when those situations come up in any way, and we know they can come up from, a perfect stranger at a store can, trigger something within us. But when those things come up, it's those same feelings tied to those events as children, as adolescents that come up. And it's the feeling that we need to learn how to deal with because it's the feeling that we're taking the alcohol to push down that feeling so we don't have to feel it anymore. And it sounds to me like you poured that into your children instead of learning how to handle and manage the feelings inside. You you suppress them with love, and but it's what made you survive for all those years too.
Same with my husband and my mom too, taking care of them. It
True.
was
Yeah.
everything, right?
Hmm.
That was my whole life. That was my whole world. And I would not have changed that for the world. You know, I love my children more than life itself. I love my husband so much and my mom so much. And I know what love is.
Hmm.
Unconditional love. And I think that I was so lucky to have that.
Hmm.
And this is the second part of my life, and I'm enjoying this part of my life. I think I've come a long way and I've learned so much about me. There's
That's
a lot to
great.
learn there.
That's great
Yeah.
though. And I think, you've lived through incredible loss and growth. And I think recovery starts to rebuild in place of the things, we take away the alcohol and we're just left to grow in that space. And you've done that even within your family. So you've been really open about both of your daughters struggling with addiction. What's that like now as a woman in recovery?
Again, watching that happen to both of them strengthens my resolve to stay sober.
Mm,
I don't ever want to go back there. It was such a black hole and so empty, and I was so sad. I couldn't, I felt like I couldn't get out, like I was drowning and I couldn't find the surface. And watching them go through this same process, it kills me as a mother, but I know that this is their journey, but it does strengthen my resolve not to ever drink again because I don't want to go back there. I don't know how to help them, and I worry about that. My one daughter has come into the program, and while I don't ever believe she was an alcoholic, she always struggled with bipolar disorder since she was 10 and never had the right medication. So I believe that she self-medicated with alcohol because in high school she never drank. She never drank ever in her life. I do think that she was self-medicating, and now that she's on the right medication, doesn't drink anymore, can have a glass of champagne at her brother's wedding and be fine and walk away and not have another drink all night, which that was me. I would have the whole bottle and been dancing on the table naked, right, by the end of the night, and never been allowed back.
luckily for your
But
son, that's not what
I
happened.
absolutely, I just got him back talking to me. After 2 years, he wouldn't talk to me, and that was the blessing of this program. He did give me my 90-day 1 year coin and 2 year coin, so that was amazing. But my other daughter is struggling, and I found out has been drinking since she's been 16, and she's an adult now in her 40s and just can't stop. Came out of detox, and all I can do is support her, but I worry about enabling her.
Mhm.
And it's all monetary. A lot of it's monetary. Um, I give her a place to stay, fix her car, pay for her car payments. And in my head, I say I need to do that because I need her to be sufficient and able to get around. Because at some point, I don't want her here. And that's probably mean, but she needs to be out of here. And she agrees. She knows that. But it's a struggle. It really is a struggle separating yourself between mom and alcoholic. It's
Mm,
really
I
hard.
bet.
I don't want to drink. I have no desire to drink,
Mhm.
um, which is great. So good. But it is a struggle to separate those two, being a parent and being an alcoholic.
What have you learned? And maybe not even fully yet, but what are you learning about when it comes to the difference between helping versus enabling?
So, what I've learned, and I watched my mother do this with my brother all his life. I I've learned that I need to support her in a way to allow her to be productive because she's a functioning, highly functioning alcoholic. On the other hand, I can't allow her to continue down this road in my presence, that this is her journey and she needs to fall and and hit bottom before she will get up and either learn or not learn, either die or live.
Mhm.
And I know I have no control over that. As much as I want to fix that, I know I have no control over that. So I'm not at the point where I've changed the locks and kick her out on the street yet.
Mhm.
I want to give her another shot. But if she ever did get caught drunk driving, or the police picked her up, or she spent time in jail, that would be it. She
Mhm.
couldn't come back here ever. She would have to go into rehab, sober living, whatever that journey is.
Mhm.
Right now, she's taken steps to make her life better. So I'm going to support her because I'm her mom
Yeah.
and I love her more than anything. And I see potential in her that she doesn't see in herself. And that's sad because I saw that as I'm growing, I saw that I never saw anything in me. I
Mhm.
was nothing. I was nothing in my eyes.
So what tools or boundaries do you put in place to keep yourself feeling serene, for lack of a better word?
The serenity prayer,
Mhm.
I walk away when we have an argument or when it's starting to escalate. When she was drinking, again, she's home now and she's sober for a couple days. When she was drinking, I would stay away from her. I couldn't be around her. Um, but she also isolated, so she would never come out of her room.
So how do you find peace with that? Like in those scenarios where it's so hard to watch someone that you care
I
about, that you
pray.
love.
I
Mm,
pray. Get
mhm.
on my hands and knees and pray. It's funny. I just heard, and I didn't know this either. Somebody just said this, and I can't remember where I heard it, but the I don't know prayer.
I don't know that one.
Exactly. And all you say is, I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I don't know what it's going to cost me. I don't know what my emotions are going to be. Anything you don't know. And then you say, but you know, God, and leave
Mm,
it there.
I like that.
I love it.
Mm.
I love it. And I say it every morning and every night before I go to bed or when I wake up. I get on my knees and I pray every morning and every night religiously to God because He has brought me so far. And that was the two God moments that I like to call them. I when when Kyle graduated high school, my son, I had lost Social Security. They stopped giving him Social Security for my husband, and we had a beautiful home, 4 bedroom, big home. My mortgage was $2,500, and I knew I couldn't pay that. So I put my house up for sale, which killed me because that was Kyle's childhood home, and I knew how much he loved it. But I did get him through high school in that home without disrupting his life because he was 10 when his dad died.
Mm.
So he was very young. And I had no place to live. I was closing on my house December 29th. I had Christmas. I was bringing down the Christmas tree. I had my mom, who really couldn't walk and had congestive heart failure, and my son, who just graduated high school and had we was going to college, and I had no place to go. So the people that bought my house, I went to their house. For some reason they forgot to sign something, and I went to their house, and they had a little ranch house around the corner from my house, not too far, and it was 3 bedrooms, and it had a built-in swimming pool, and it was beautiful. And I was like, "Oh my God, this house is adorable." And they were like, "Yeah, we're renting it from a friend of ours." And I went, "Really? Can I have his number?" Gave me his number. I called him. They were moving into my house, and I was moving into theirs,
So funny.
right? On December 29th, 5 days after Christmas.
Wow.
Uh, 3 days after Christmas, I was like, such a God moment,
Right.
such a God moment. So fast forward 6 years later, same thing. My landlord decides he's selling it. He wants me out, no place to go. I ran into a girlfriend of mine who I worked with 35 years ago. Out of the blue, I ran into her. I've seen her maybe once years ago,
Hmm.
but never kept in touch. She's a real estate agent. She owns the house I'm living in. Her tenants were moving out October 15th. I had to be out by November 1st. She said, "It's yours."
Wow.
Right? Is that crazy? I
Wow.
know. I know. I'm thinking I'm going to be homeless, and God steps in and says, "I'm not going to let that happen, Barb."
That's, it's funny because you say that, and I haven't thought of it in that way, like how everything happened with our house. But like, what's so crazy is when I was as you know, when I was in South Carolina and um, struggling very much with just life and everything that was going on, being pregnant, alone. And Krista came down several times and was just like such a pillar of strength for me coming down, and even just the act of driving
Mhm.
16 and a half hours to come and see me just felt like an act of love in and of itself. And then, mind you, we go through 15 offers on houses, all of them outbid by investors and whomever. And then we have offer 16 in, and it gets accepted. And I'm looking at now, I have this house bought on sight unseen. Never saw the house before. Alex had been there. That was it. Alex and Sierra. Sierra was our realtor. And and I look on the map and I'm looking at where my new home is. And I'm like, think I know this area. And so I text Krista, "What's your address?" And she texted me back. And I said, "Well, are you ready to have a neighbor? Because I live 4 blocks away." And she was just like, "Oh," and like, what, like perfection though, right? And that for me definitely is my higher power speaking to me to keep people in my life to feel supported, to feel loved, to be in the right place at the right time where I need to be. Um, that's great.
And I think that's the biggest part of what I'm learning in this program, and doing the steps, that I can't control everything because I did control everything
Hmm.
or tried to.
Hmm.
And I'm learning to let go and let God, because He's the one that's got control. I do not, and I do not, and I know that now. And I never knew that. Never knew that.
Right, because like no one pushed you in here.
No.
No one no one came to you and said, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, this is what's going to happen to you. And
Right?
that does work for some, I mean, courts sometimes it works for some people, and that's the way it needs to be for some people. But it's not what happened with you. And you're letting life happen with your girls in the way that it might need to happen for them. And that's so important.
I used to say to the girls all the time, if I don't know about it, I can't fix it,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And I say the girls because Kyle, I never had problems with my son. Like
Mhm.
growing up, he always just knew right from wrong. It was funny. I'm sure he did stuff behind my back that I didn't know about, but he never got in any trouble. The girls were different. They didn't get in trouble, but there was always something going on, you know?
Mhm.
And I guess because I was a single mom with them for so long that and it was new to me having children. Kyla was my third, actually my sixth, right? Because
Mhm.
we had stepchildren. I had three stepsons that and all the kids took care of Kyle. I really didn't have to do anything because they loved him so much. But I think that, yeah, I got more involved with the girl, a whole lot of involvement in the girl's life because everything, we're women, right?
Mhm.
Everything is crucial. Everything is a drama. Everything is major. You break a nail. This one's talking about me. Everything is
Mhm.
so traumatic.
I just had a conversation with my 13-year-olds in the car yesterday, and I said, "Oh, the drama. Oh, the drama." And
Right?
she's like, "Oh, mom."
I know, right? I
But
know.
it is, they do. They feel so deeply,
Yes.
I don't have any sons, so I always have to imagine it's gotta be so different with boys.
So different. Boys are so different. But I will say that as he got older, he did have problems, but he always came to me and said, I need help, but you can't help me.
Mm,
So we would find the help that he needed.
mhm.
But he just always knew that. And again, he's a policeman and he just does so well in that field
That's
because
good,
he just knew.
good.
So
How has sobriety changed how you show up for him today?
well, I was invited to his wedding, which was huge.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I let him live his life. I'm not overbearing. I let him come to me, whereas before I needed to always go to him and hover and what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Now I just let him come to me. If he needs me, he needs me. If he doesn't, he doesn't. That might change when we have grandchildren. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I play that in my head because I know the kind of person I am, trying to control everything, and I know that I have to let them parent,
Mhm.
and I just have to be the grandmother and enjoy them. And I'm afraid of that because I know growing up with my mom, when my girls, she always told me how to raise them, always.
Mhm.
And I believe that a lot of issues arose in their lives because of that, because we were battling about that. And
It
and I
becomes more about the battle than who you're battling over.
yeah, yes. And I don't and I never want to do that to my son. I want to be able to keep my mouth shut if I don't like something I think they're doing because it's not my place. It's their children. I just have to enjoy my grandchildren. And that's going to be a challenge. But
Mhm.
I think that going through all this process right now is making me it's going to make me a better grandmother.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be able to do that and keep my mouth shut and not say, "Ugh, why are you doing that? Or, tell them or they should be doing this and I know that I won't do that.
Mhm.
Or I hope I won't do that.
And you have enough people in your life to call you out on those things
Exactly.
too.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of having this network of women like you, Amanda, that I can go to you guys and go, oh gosh, this happened or that happened, or how do I deal with the girls, or how do I deal with sobriety with them, or
Mm,
and being able to talk to all of you about this is so important. That's the
mhm.
biggest part of this program. Oh my God,
Yeah.
you know?
It's the fellowship, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, looking back, what would you tell the younger version of yourself who was trying to hold everything together?
Let go.
Mm, yeah,
Just let go. Let somebody else do it.
I love
I
that.
never let anybody else do it. I did everything.
Hmm.
And I not really realizing how stressful and appreciate what you have. I never appreciate, I say this all the time when I share. I never had enough. I had a beautiful home. I had a beautiful backyard with a pool. I had six wonderful children. I had an amazing husband and I had a good job. We had plenty of money and I always wanted more. I never sat down and appreciated it. I remember my husband saying to me once, I was vacuuming out our pool manually and I was bitching about it. And my husband looked at me and said, a year ago, Barbara, you didn't have a pool or a house. You had an apartment with five, six people, eight people in it, living in it on a weekend.
Hmm.
And now you have a pool and you're bitching about manually cleaning it out. Smell the roses, honey. Yeah. So my husband always brought me back to life.
High class problems,
Yeah, it's
right?
actually, right?
Right, right.
Seriously, seriously. He did buy me a robot for Mother's Day.
You did touch on your relationship with your second husband, and I just want to give you space to honor that relationship because I know how much he meant to you.
So my first husband was my best friend since I was 12. He dated my sister, and that went south real fast. And I ran into him after I'd been through years of therapy, and I always loved him. I would watch him walk up the street with his basketball. He was like 6'2", and he'd be bouncing his basketball. And I just always thought he was so cute. And we would play basketball together. And I loved him so much from the moment I met him. And fast forward years later, we got married and had two beautiful girls together. But he was an alcoholic and he suppressed everything until he would drink and then it would come out. So he hit me twice and that was it. I wasn't going to be my mother. So I changed the locks on the door and put his stuff on the street. When he came home from work, I said, you can't come back here. Because the first time I let it go, the second time I didn't. And I was afraid it would never stop. So I was single mom for 13 years. I dated here and there, nothing crazy. Um, and I met my husband the first time I saw him, the second husband. I just looked at him and he was so good with his children. We talked. I worked for him actually. I was a consultant for Ralph Lauren and he was a director of retail systems and I would do inventories and stuff for him. And I would always tease him and try to go on a date with him and he always blew me off. And I was like, this really sucks. What are we doing wrong?
But you're in so much deeper
It,
because of it. Like it
yeah,
just
right.
grabs you.
Exactly, right? Because we always want what we can't have.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, so
He knew what he was doing.
I well, so what really happened is every time he got a job near his children, she would move. His ex-wife would take them a city away, or a town away, or she was moving to Pennsylvania, and he was afraid that he was not see them, so he was going to move to Pennsylvania, let her settle, and then leave this job and move to Pennsylvania. He did it 4 times for the boys, and he told me that. He said, I would have dated you in a heartbeat from the moment I met you. So, so the first time I used to play darts with some friends, and he said, you know, there's a place around the corner from where I live that has a dartboard if you want if you're interested. And I went, are you telling me so I can go there and play with my friends, or are you asking me out on a date? And he went, oh, you want to go out on a date? I was like, We're like, "Really?"
Mhm.
Such a smart man and not, men are just a little dense
Oh, yeah,
sometimes, right?
absolutely.
So the first date we went out on, we didn't leave each other's side. That was that was it. We were
Mhm.
together forever. And we got married and had 6 kids between the two of us. And it was just, he was just so calm. And he was just nothing like I've ever met in my life. He was calm and he never raised his voice. He grounded me. He put everything into perspective for me, like about the pool. Um, and he loved my girls as if they were his own. He loved their children so much that, and I loved that about him because they weren't his girls and they were teenage girls. When I had Kyle, I remember saying to him, "I'm so sorry I didn't give you a boy." He goes, "Boy, after having 2 teenage daughters, I'm good. I love my sons." Because they weren't his, but he treated them like they were his.
Mhm.
I do have a funny story about that. One of my daughters got caught underage drinking. She was in a parking lot with friends drinking, and police brought them all in. Called me at 4 o'clock in the morning. She didn't call anybody else but me. Can you come pick me up? Again, the fixer, right?
Mm.
So my husband and I went down to pick her up, and all the way home, she's bitching and yelling at me. This is your fault. You don't love me. Blah 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 blah. Cursing at me. And my husband looked at her and said, "Shannon, you can't talk to your mother like that." And she went, "F you, you're not my father." And he said, "You're right." And that was it. We were quiet the whole road home, way home. Get home like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "I'll be right back," and dropped us off. And I went, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'll be right back." He walked in 20 minutes later with her dad. Her face went white.
I bet.
She
Oh,
was like, and and he just laced into her. He said,
huh.
"Dirk is your father now. He's the man of the house." My ex-husband and my husband were best friends. He would invite him over for Christmas, and I'd be like, "Why is he here?" And he'd be like, "He has nobody, Barb." That was my husband in a nutshell.
Wow.
They'd watch football together on Sundays, and my ex-husband was invited to our wedding. Came to our wedding. My
Wow.
in-laws were very upset, but my husband had a ball with them. We had a great time. The
That's
girls were happy,
amazing.
and we all co-parented, and we raised two beautiful children.
Mhm.
Oh, well, 6 beautiful children.
Mhm. That's great.
So yeah, so he was a great man
Mhm.
and just always knew, like didn't have to raise his voice, but you knew when he was even you were learning a lesson.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He
So,
never had to. He never had to raise his voice, and I always envied that.
so
As a
that loss I could see as like someone who you describe as grounding, and to lose the grounding
oh,
and is huge. And then it leaves you searching for something to ground you. And it sounds like it takes you to alcohol. And, it's interesting because it's that generational um, pattern of searching for some sort of comfort, and what can be found through sobriety is incredible. And it sounds like you found peace, joy, and even more purpose, because you can be purposeful for your girls in supporting them. And then how many other women are going to and have found support through you in the program?
and understanding,
Mm,
understanding that this is temporary. We're here temporarily. Enjoy the ride.
mhm,
Enjoy life. Be grateful for what you have.
mm,
Don't don't strive for more always, always, always because we don't realize what we have when we're looking for more.
mhm.
And I have so much. I have so much. I really do.
Yeah,
And
good.
it's all because of God and my sobriety and learning about me.
Mhm. So what does a typical day in your life look like today?
So I still work.
Mhm.
And it's funny, somebody asked me the other day, why don't you retire? I'm 67, I'll be 68 this year. Why don't you retire?
What if only the people listening could see the woman sitting in front of me right now. That just blew my mind because when I went to the concert with you and I told my mom that I was going with someone her age to the concert, she's a bit younger than you. And you just knocked my socks off. You do not look close to 70. You look close to 60, my dear. So that's incredible. Kudos to you. Everybody needs your skincare regimen. Go on.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I always laugh. I preserve well.
For real.
Anyhow, I still work, and somebody asked me the other day, why don't you retire? And I went, because I am accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and I enjoy my lifestyle. I'm going to Greece next year. I signed up for a trip to Greece, and I've always wanted to go.
Incredible.
So I work. I was working 4 10-hour days, but they're changing that in January back to 5 8-hour days, which I'm not really crazy about. I like my 3-day weekend, but so Monday nights I have a meeting. Tuesday I'll fill in bowling. I stopped my Tuesday night bowling because back to back was a little getting tough.
Mhm.
I'm tired, so Tuesday is like a night of rest, or I'll go to a meeting if I need one. Wednesday I bowl. Thursday I have choir practice because I sing in the choir at my church, which is a godsend. I just love this program that I'm allowed to do that. And I'm not a good singer, but they take me. They let me sing. They just need bodies, I think. Friday nights I go to a meeting, or I do have a commitment at the jail where I bring an AA meeting to the jail, which is so humbling and so rewarding. When they close that door behind me, I'm just like, thank God I'm not here.
Mm.
Right. And that's gratitude. Again, all that gratitude. Saturdays, I just hang around the house or do whatever I want. Saturdays are my day to do whatever I want. I try not to go out too much because I spend too much money. But I love the difference is I love being home with me where I never did. I
Mm.
couldn't sit with me. I couldn't be alone with me. I had to be out doing something, or now I can just sit and enjoy the time by myself with me. I like me. I love me. And I could never say that. And Saturday night I go to a meeting. Sunday morning is church, and any church, whatever church venue things that are going on. I just started. There's a meeting after church that we go to, just discussing how to talk about God to people.
Mm.
And it's funny because um, all the things that they speak about in church are all the things we do in AA. And it's so crazy how I can relate to it so much when Pastor Robbie gives his sermon, and I'm like, wow, we do that at every meeting.
Mhm.
And that's such a blessing that I relate so well to that. And everything's come full circle, it feels. And then Sunday nights I relax because I work all over, you start all over again.
Mhm.
So I do try to get to the gym or exercise in that, within that. This
Mhm.
summer I love to go to the beach and swim and pool, but my life is so full, so full. And then there's times when it's not, and that's okay too.
Mm.
And that's the difference. That wasn't ever okay.
Right.
I always had to be doing something, moving, or I didn't feel productive. I didn't feel like I was giving, I was getting anything done, I was showing up. And I am
Mhm.
every day.
That's great. So, how has your idea of fun changed with sobriety?
Well, I don't know that when I was drinking, I was ever having fun. I can still go out dancing, and I probably dance better because I'm not stumbling.
True. So true.
And I don't care what people think about anymore. I
Mhm.
just, I love live music. I love to go to concerts. I love to go to see a live band. I love bowling, and I can do all of it sober, and it's okay. I don't. you did a podcast on how to have fun in sobriety, and that waking up in the morning and remembering what happened the night before, or not waking up in a stranger's bed, or not waking up in the curb, or
Mhm.
sleeping in your car,
Yep.
and not remembering what happened the night before is so scary. I once woke up and my face was so banged up, and I have that picture, and I look at it every now and then just to remind me of what could have happened. And I had an in-ground pool at the time, and I was living alone and could have drowned.
Mm.
Um, I keep that picture because I have no idea how I did that. No idea. My face was so bruised, and I can't to this day remember. My neighbors next door used to say they would listen to me splashing in the pool, and if I stopped splashing, they would come over to
Oh,
make sure I didn't drown, right?
wow.
And that was always so sad. That to me was so sad that my neighbors were aware of that and knew that happened.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so many things have come out of sobriety
Mhm.
and this program and learning about me and my network of girls, and life's so much better
Mhm.
this way, so much better. But I think everybody should do a 12-step program,
I agree.
sober or not.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
that's where so I don't know if I ever even told you, so there was a time when I was in South Carolina that I was really reflecting on potentially writing a book of how to discern the 12 steps for someone that wasn't an alcoholic. And then I decided I didn't want to write a book. So it's like this is quite a commitment,
Mm,
on top of work and everything. And so I had listened to a podcast and it was about podcasting, and I thought to myself, maybe I'll look into doing it that way. Maybe I can bring this message of what life can be by applying these principles to your life in a different format, not in a book, but in something that maybe might be a little bit more easily digestible in short spurts. So that's how middle of it was born. And for me also, hitting 5 years of sobriety and thinking of what does the next chapter look like. what does my what does my sobriety look like in that time? Because in the beginning it's very laid out for you, right? It's very like, get to meetings,
yeah,
get a home group, get a sponsor, work the steps, and that takes time. And but it keeps you going. And so, we've talked about many times that there's this middle part of sobriety where people fall off because life gets too good
yeah.
and they stop going to meetings. And some may remain sober, and that's great. I do believe that sobriety is found in so many different angles. AA just happens to be our story, our collective story. And uh, there are very few people on celebration nights that you'll hear in those teen numbers,
Yeah.
the ones that are hitting even 9, 10, 11, going into the higher teens. It falls off more and more and more. And then you hear the people 20 something years and 30, 40, and you ask them, how did you do it? Kept going to meetings. I kept staying in this program, and that for me is very humbling because it's like a life program. How do you look at your future and think about sobriety? What does that look like for you?
What's funny about that is I'm a planner. I plan everything. Again, being a single mom with two kids, three jobs, because I didn't always have a really good job. I was a waitress. I washed floors, cleaned houses on the weekends, and I was a bookkeeper. I wasn't always in IT. I stepped out of myself, and that's a whole other story. And became this network engineer that I am today, that I'm so proud of because I have no college. I have no schooling other than high school. So I plan everything. I even have my funeral plan, believe me, and it's so scary, but I do. I plan everything. And that was when I first came in. I was so worried about when I get 10 years, am I still going to do this? Am I still going to be able to do this? And they tell you, boy, one day at a time. And I know that. But I still can't stop that planning part of me because that's inbred. I need to know where my next foot's going to go. So I do stay in the program. I try to keep a commitment. That's the jail commitment is so big to
Mm,
me. I'll never give that up because it's so big to me that and I think I get so much more out of it than probably those women, but I hope I'm helping them in some way, shape, or form. That's so important to me to stay in this program to keep me because this is what got me sober. And I so want to give back. I do have 4 meetings a week that I go to that are specific and that are so important to me that when I miss one, I feel itchy and I feel
mm,
like,
mhm,
that's why'd you do that? Or get your butt to the meeting, right? So I want to be, and I am first time in. This is my first time in. I have not relapsed. But thank God and the program continuing to do this. I do worry that I will forget what it was like back there. And yeah, I could have a drink and I thought of that. I think of that the other day. I don't know. I wasn't sure where I was, and it was one of those things nobody would know. And then I caught myself and saying, no, but you would.
mhm.
I would.
Yep.
And I could never do that with a clear conscience and anymore. 2 years ago, probably, but not anymore. I
Mhm.
couldn't lie like that. I couldn't walk into a meeting and not raise my hand and say I have one day. But I don't ever want to do that either.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I
and,
get
and
it.
I think that the kind of person I am, like I said, I didn't drink for years because I didn't want to be my father. The kind of person I am, I'm determined. If I'm nothing, I am determined to prove to myself that I can do these things, right? And I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it's a lot of pressure, but determination that I don't want to ever go out again and come back in and raise my hand and say I have one day because I don't want to give up all I've gotten. I never want to give that up.
Yep.
It's not about the time. It's about all I've accomplished and all I've gotten.
Yeah,
And I don't want to give that up.
I get
So my
it.
sobriety going forward is just doing what I've been doing and staying in my church is huge, Amanda. I don't know how to explain that to people, but that keeps me so sober that that's where I need to be. And singing in the choir, it just gives me that special feeling. Like I love music. I love music, always have, and those traditional hymns and the words. Sometimes it just brings me to tears when I sing. And actually, Karen, one of the choir directors, she said, Barbara, she said, I just see when you sing the passion in you. And she says, it's crazy. I've never seen that in anybody. She says, you have such passion when you sing. And it's true. And I don't blare it out because I'm afraid I sound, I don't want anybody to hear me sing, but I feel it so much in my heart. Song, music is so big to me. So
Mm,
big to me.
I
So
love that.
I
That's
will
great.
stay in my lane and continue on the course that I'm going because this is what saved me.
What gives you hope for your daughters today and for anyone still struggling?
I believe that God is has their back.
Mm,
I believe that He will guide them in the way that He'll guide them. I look at my oldest daughter and I see how far she's come in a year. She's just an amazing person, and what she's done for her sister through this struggle is just that is not her. She was never that person. So I have so much faith that if she could change and be this wonderful woman that she's become today, that that her sister can do it too. And as an example, living as an example as we are, maybe she'll see that too
mhm.
and live that life.
Love that.
I hope. Right? That's all I can do is live as an example. All I
Absolutely.
can do.
Absolutely. So if you could sit with someone who feels like it's too late to get sober, what would you tell them?
It's never too late. It's never too late. Again, I imagine it depends on how much you drink or how far into your alcoholism you are. It's all about wanting to get better. Age is just a state of mind. I firmly believe that. Yes, do things hurt? My knees hurt. My my shoulders hurt. Yes, I feel the pains of getting old, but it's just a state of mind. I live every day like it's my last, and it's never too late to find God and find or your higher power, whatever that is. And that's so important that there is somebody bigger than all of us and guiding our universe. And it's never too late to change your life. It's never too late to change your life, ever. You could do it if you want to. You have to want to. You have to want to make a change in your life, or it's not going to happen.
So true. So true. What's a prayer or a saying that has carried you through the hard times?
So serenity prayer is huge. Serenity prayer. I have a book, Jesus Calling, that a woman gave me when I joined the church, and I read it every day. Every morning I wake up and I read today's passage, and that guides me through the whole day because it's so funny how so many days when I wake up and I read it, it's like, that's exactly how I feel today. And that's what I go by. And then that I don't know prayer, I love that.
I
That
do.
just was,
That's so good.
I just love that because I don't know.
Mm.
I have no idea what's going to happen today.
And it's a great representation of turning it over,
Yeah,
like the third
yeah,
step in action,
yeah.
right? How would you say God has shown up for you in your life in ways that you weren't expecting?
I don't know. I just always feel that he's been guiding me all my life. He's always been, I mean, again, living with my father and that we could go to the church and we got baptized at 10. We got ourselves baptized. And when things got rough, my reverend took me in. My father kicked me out at 18, changed the locks on the house and packed my bags. And I was not allowed back in. No reason. I went and lived with my reverend and his family. And God always had a place for me. I always had a place. I
Mm,
lost that place when my mom, and because of me, not because God left me, but because I left God
mm.
and I didn't trust him anymore and I didn't like him anymore. I was angry. Um, he's done so much for me. Again, my daughter hasn't died.
To you, when you hear living in the middle of it, what does that mean to you?
Like you said, life is messy and beautiful all at once. Life is going to happen. Things are going to happen that we don't know about, can't control, and we have to just accept it and we have to trust in the process that that's the middle of it, that you just have to live and and accept what happens and enjoy the ride and
Mm,
take it as a lesson, learn from it, right? Because if everything was perfect all the time, first of all, we wouldn't appreciate it. Second of all, we wouldn't learn from it. We would learn no lessons. We would not understand ourselves. We would not learn about ourselves if we just let things happen. If we didn't let things happen and allow the process to continue on, right? Or allow it to be processed. Um, I'm learning that in work a lot now because I always struggled with I'm a network engineer and I can bring down a network in one command line, right? And I'm learning that I don't have control over all that all the time. I do know my job, I do know what I can do, but I don't have any control over the ISP or the cable cut. Somebody cuts a cable. I don't have any control over that, and I have to understand that that's part of my job,
mm,
right? To not that I can't fix everything, and being in the middle of it is. being present, stepping into life and being present and just giving 100% all you can at every moment of your life. And whatever happens, happens. It's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think being present is being in the middle of it and staying accountable, responsible, and in the middle of it, in the presence.
Mm-hmm. It's great. So, what is anything else that you want to share with our audience? Anything that you want to tell of your story that we haven't talked about today?
So I'm going to end with a good story, a
Okay.
funny story. When I started in IT, I was just a consultant, and my last job for this company was setting up point of sale systems. And I worked for a gentleman who did not like women in IT, had no respect for them, didn't think they could do anything, just like a male chauvinist. He was awful. The things he would say were terrible. So I had two young girls, and he knew I had to be home by 4:30 and put in my 8 hours. But he would send me all the way up to North Jersey to one store, and then he'd send me at 4:30, 4 o'clock all the way down to South Jersey. So I couldn't be home. So I finally said I can't work for him anymore. I was just a technician. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm a network engineer at Gucci for 14 years. And HP is coming in to do a presentation on their servers because they wanted to sell them to us. And who walks in the door but this gentleman?
Wow.
And I looked at him and he looked at me, recognized me immediately because I really don't change over time. And I knew who he was. I knew before he got there who he was. So I looked at my boss, who loved me so much, and I loved him. He actually died falling down the stairs, bleeding out, drunk one night after a party. Yes. And I said to him, I whispered to him, we're never buying from him. And he went, sure. Okay. I let him do the hour presentation. And I was, thank you so much for your time. I'll walk you out. And as we're walking out, I said, we're never buying from you because I knew that.
Good.
So my point being is that you should be nice to everybody because you never know who you're going to meet in life,
Mm.
right? It's everything comes full circle, and I firmly believe that. So the person that's sweeping floors to the CEO, you're nice to everybody because that person sweeping floors could be the new CEO, and
It's
you
true.
don't know that.
It's very true.
So you try to be nice to everybody and treat everybody equally,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
So,
beautiful.
and that's how I am going to live my life for going forward. And again, I can't thank this program enough and you for this opportunity. This was awesome.
Good. Well, thank you because I know your story is going to have an impact for so many people. And I think for me, getting out of it, the resilience, you have a story of incredible resilience. So kudos to you. You've taught me so much today. And I can't wait to share this with the world.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening with us today. And thanks for taking this journey. Remember, you're not broken, you're just in the middle of it. And the middle is where you find your resilience. Until next time, keep going.